everybody? Welcome to another edition of Inside the Vinyl. I'm your host, Tim Iommi. If you would go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel below, that would be greatly appreciated. If you could also hit that notification bell so you can be notified when we put out new content, that would be appreciated also. So, today is May 31st, 2024, and it's a day a lot of Tony Martin era Black Sabbath fans have been waiting for, and that would be the release of the 4-record or 4-CD box set Anno Domini. So I was a little concerned that Amazon was going to flake on me today because it kept saying that, oh, it'll be delivered before 11 or whatever. Finally, it said out for delivery and had been delivered. So I'm very stoked to have it right now inside this box. This is already ripped, so I'm a little concerned there. But let's go ahead and open this bad boy up and see what we have. So for anyone not familiar with this era of Black Sabbath, so this was after Ozzy's initial stint, of course, after Dio, after Ian Gillan, and even after Glenn Hughes were on vocals. These albums feature Tony Martin. These are 4 of the 5 albums that he was featured on. The first album he was on, Eternal Idol, was not included with this because of record label differences and all that. But the other 4 records, Headless Cross, TYR, Cross Purposes, and a new remix of Forbidden are all included in this box. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we got. I am so excited about this. I am so excited. So there we go. Fresh off the press from Rhino. This is the front of the Anno Domini box with the hype sticker and everything else. Here is the back. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. So the hype sticker says this is a 4 LP Super Deluxe Edition featuring 3 albums newly remastered and a 2024 Tony Iommi remix of the album Forbidden. It also has a 1989 Headless Cross Tour replica concert book, a 40-page book with photos, artwork, and liner notes, as well as a Headless Cross poster. So I got to make sure I preserve my hype sticker because I do like those things. But let's go ahead and rip this thing open and see what we got. Alright, I am happy to see that it's like a normal box and not like one of the slipcase ones. Because sometimes I find that, my records end up sliding out and whatever else. And also, oh shit, I just ripped the hype sticker. Oh well. And I also found out, like when my house burned down last summer, that these boxes actually do a great job of protecting the records because I have the Rat box set over there. And it was right there in the with all the water and everything pouring down when they were putting the fire out, and no damage whatsoever to the box or any of the contents. So I am happy to see that this is just a full, I don't know what you call this box, but like covered box, whatever it is. Anyway, all right. So yeah, that came off the back, so we'll make sure we keep this for safekeeping. And again, here we go. Here is the front cover of Anno Domini. Hopefully that's looking good on camera without the cellophane. And here is the back. All right, so let's go ahead and open this box up and see what we have. This is so exciting. You guys don't know how long I've wanted. I had bootlegs of a few of these records, and it was I looked at it like I just wanted to have something as opposed to not having them. But man, I am so stoked that these records are back in print, and also not only the records but the CDs. And now all of these albums are available individually on streaming services, whether it be Apple, Spotify, or whatever. So if you prefer to check it out that way, do so. This is an era of Black Sabbath that was largely ignored at the time. But if you really focus on the music as opposed to who's in the band or whatever else, I think you'll find this is a very, very important and very prolific and very consistently good era of Black Sabbath, at least in my opinion. So here we go. First things first is the book with all the liner notes and pictures and different things. So, I won't flip through all of it. Just kind of get you a few pages here. Let's see, lyrics and all sorts of lyrics. All right, and we'll just show that. So yeah, nice giant booklet here, which is really cool. I'm looking forward to reading that. Here is the Headless Cross tour guide, or tour book, the replica of it at least. And it's kind of funny because, like I said, these albums weren't super successful, at least not in America, and I know the tours that they tried to go on struggled a bit. As a lot of classic rock bands did in the late 80s and early 90s, but they also struggled a bit because at this point in time, Tony Iommi was the last remaining original member, and despite the fact that his band, or the bands on some of these records, were made up of pretty much a supergroup of all-stars from other bands, it still didn't take off, and a lot of people were unwilling to accept a Black Sabbath that didn't include Ozzy or Dio or Geezer or Bill or anything else. So, but still, if you judge things based on the music as opposed to who's in the band, I think you'll find you'll like a lot of this Tony Martin material, as I do. So anyway, there's the Headless Cross tour book. You know, if we just open it up and show a couple pages there. Let's see, we'll just find. Yeah, here we go. You know, here's some pages about the members of the band. In this case, Cozy Powell over here, a legendary drummer, and of course Tony Martin over here on vocals. You know, so again, replica tour guide from Headless Cross. That's pretty cool. Here is the Headless Cross poster, which I wish I wasn't such a collector now. You know, because when I was a kid, if something like this would have been in a box set, this would have been on my wall within moments. You know, like this would have been on my wall before I ever actually listened to the albums. You know, so there you go. That's really cool. Like, I'd really love to get a second copy of this and frame it and put it up on my wall. I just think that's really neat. So cool. Headless Cross poster. All right, now we get to the actual records in the set. So the first one, which would be, let me just go ahead and pop all these out. All right. So the first one is the creme de la creme, if you will, of the Tony Martin era by most people's standards. And that would be 1989's Headless Cross. Now, a lot of reviewers, this album has gotten great reviews, and a lot of reviewers say, despite the fact that it's only Iommi, this album does rank super high amongst the critics and a lot of fans as far as being not only the best Tony Martin era album, but also on par with anything they did with Ozzy and Dio. I definitely agree. I think this is a great record. So anyway, there's the front cover. There's the back cover, and I will say this is eerily similar to the bootleg that I have. Now, when we open it up, or when we go inside, we see we just have a basic black sleeve inside. And I imagine that's because the lyrics and all the liner notes and everything are all in the booklet that came with it. So there's no reason to replicate that here, or duplicate it. Excuse me. All right. But we'll go ahead and pop the record out. And it's interesting because all of these albums originally came out on the I.R.S. label in America. So it's interesting for the first time ever to see these on with a Warner and Rhino logo. But that's really cool because that pretty much means, with the exception of 13, the last album with Ozzy from like 10 years ago, that pretty much means the entire catalog of Black Sabbath from 1970 all the way through 1995 is now available under the Warner Brothers umbrella. So I think that's definitely a neat thing. But yeah, you've got, you know, Headless Cross, When Death Calls, Nightwing, Gates of Hell. I mean, just, you know, this is a killer album, and this is fully remastered, as 3 of the 4 records in here are. So next on the list would be the record. Now, I will say, when I was like 14, in 1990 or so, or whatever, 15 and 91, whenever it was, I knew of Sabbath. I think I had like one of those like little knockoff greatest hits cassettes or whatever that had like Iron Man and all that shit on it, but I hadn't gotten fully immersed in Sabbath yet. I will say I picked this album up on CD back in the day, and again, not really knowing who was what member or anything about, you know, Sabbath as far as other than Ozzy was in it for a time. And I picked this album up, and I fell in love with this album, and I think that's why I've always been so, been such a fan of all eras of Black Sabbath, because I came into the fold during the Tony Martin era, and this album, TYR, this is from 1990. I absolutely love this album. You have Tony Martin on vocals, Tony Iommi, of course, on guitar. You have Neil Murray, formerly of Whitesnake, on bass, and then, of course, Cozy Powell, legendary Cozy Powell, on drums. So again, front cover, back cover, and this has Anno Domini, Lawmaker, Sabbath Stones. I mean, just really a bunch of great songs. Feels Good to Me, I think, was a single off this. Heaven in Black. So yeah, just another killer record. Let's go ahead and, I imagine it's the same on all these inside, just with the black sleeve and of course the 180 gram black vinyl. All right, so we're just going to keep it moving here. Now, one that I did not have at all in a bootleg form or anything else was this one. And this would be 1990, I think it was 1993, if I'm not mistaken. 93 or 94, Cross Purposes. So this album, so in between the Tony Martin era, like in the middle of it, they got back with Dio, Ronnie James Dio, and made the Humanizer, and then Dio left again, and they put back, and Tony Martin came back to the fold. But this album not only features Tony Martin and Tony Iommi, of course, on guitar, this album also has Geezer Butler on bass. He was still around after Dehumanizer for a little while, so you still have half of the original lineup of Sabbath on this record, so that's pretty cool. And again, great album, Eyewitness, Cross of Thorns, Hand That Rocks the Cradle, Evil Eye, all killer songs. And again, I'm pretty sure this is all just the same. And there's not a whole lot of differentiation, you know, in the way the vinyls and the inner sleeve and all that look, which is fine. Again, everything you need to know about the records, liner notes, and lyrics and all that is all included in the book, the first book that I opened up. And now we get to, for me, the most exciting part. I mean, it's cool to have all these records, but for me, this album right here, 1995's Forbidden, is largely considered by many to be like the worst Sabbath album, because at the time it was produced by Ernie C. of Body Count, and I guess people think the mix is way off and all that. And I've listened to it a few times, and I didn't think it was that bad, but yeah, it wasn't on par with the greatest of Sabbath records. However, now, these were remastered. This was completely remixed by Tony Iommi. And I've already listened to the remix via digital form, and I gotta tell you, it is like listening to a completely different album. The way he remixed this, he's mixed it in a way that, in my opinion, it sounds very much like the mix and the production and everything on 13. The way the drums sound, the guitars are higher in the mix. I mean, everything's just totally different without messing with the song structures or anything else. So it's like, if you've ever heard this album before and you didn't like it, give the remix a chance. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I listened to it earlier this morning, and it is like a completely different album. It's like having a brand new Black Sabbath album, you know, in your queue. So definitely check that out. But again, Forbidden, front cover, back cover. And again, I'm pretty, you know, like I say, I think they're all the same here. Just standard black vinyl with a black inner sleeve. So anyway, you know, that's pretty much the run on the Black Sabbath box set here. Again, I'm pretty stoked to have these all on vinyl and have these on legit vinyls, you know, as opposed to the bootlegs that I had for a few. But yeah, I mean, you know, this book's pretty killer. I'm hoping there's a lot of insight, you know, and stories about, you know, this era and all that. Because again, as somebody that loves music, I'm very interested in all that. But I also know there was a lot of turmoil and a lot of drama and a lot of different things that went on during this time that I'm very interested in. So yeah, you know, if you look here, you know, you have the liner notes and everything from the albums as they were on CD or the original albums from back in the day. So everything you need, you know, about the albums and all that is included in this book right here. So I am super stoked to have this. You know, I hope I've seen lots and lots of people on Facebook groups I'm in and just in general going on and making unboxings of this box set. So I thought I'd do my own. But yeah, even if you don't care about records or CDs, these albums are available digitally on streaming services for the first time. So if you want to try Apple Music or try Spotify and give these a listen, I don't think you'll be disappointed. So that's all I've got for you this time. Like, comment, share, and subscribe below. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified when we put out new content. I've got the rest of my Unboxing the Vinyl series where we unbox box sets, new releases, new albums, reissues, whatever it is, whatever's coming out. Sometimes it's CDs as opposed to records. It just depends. I've got my Lost Classic series as well as my live album series, and I'm hoping to get that ramped up now that I have a place to record things from. There is also some concert footage from some recent concerts and festivals over the last 4 or 5 years. I've also got a couple of short documentary films that I made for a class. One that talks about my house burning down almost a year ago, and the other one's a disc golf related thing. And speaking of disc golf, if you like disc golf, I've got some videos featuring some very mediocre players, myself included, so check those out as well. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Peace out. I fucked that up.